the voice in your ears and the face on your screen. I'm Perfect Purvis, and this is Pro Football Sweden. Today, I'm joined by my co-host, Jalo Juice. We get you on the screen, Jalo.
What is up, everybody? We are back.
Yep. Before we get into it, if you heard me, I didn't say presented by because for this season we don't have any specific sponsors. So if you would like to help us out, just hit us up on the Instagram or the YouTube. Just send us a DM. Say, hey man, I'd like to help y'all out. Send y'all a couple Kronos. Is it Kronos? Is that how you say it in Sweden? Kronos?
Cronus.
From whatever the currency is, send us a couple so we can keep doing the podcast. That is one of the main reasons we haven't done it before the season and stuff. Is financial times are hard right now, so we're still looking for sponsors, and we would love to have some. If you know anybody that knows someone that knows somebody, just hit us up. But with that being said, we do have partners with American Football in Finland and Pro Football in Sweden organization. So those two have brought us this podcast that we're going to give you every week for the rest of this season. And you can listen to us on Spotify, or you can see us visually here on YouTube. And wherever you listen or watch, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Now let's get into some football for the first episode of the season. Supposed to do the interlude now. Sorry. All right. First quarter. We are back. Jalo, talk about it, man. What's up with the hiatus? Why we haven't been here in a minute?
As you already said it in the first segment, there's been some difficulties, but right now, that's in the past. The future is here, man. Football Sweden has been taking a turn. There's been some ups and downs. There's been some new teams in the Super Series. So right now, we have to welcome Copenhagen Towers to the Super Seriens. I think that's what it is. It's not. I always say Super Series, but the Super Seriens. Welcome Copenhagen. New faces. Uh, I like that it's 9 teams finally in the Super Series. So now it seems like the Scandinavian League that I've always talked of. But as we talked a little bit off camera, that South Conference, man, we'll get into that a little bit later in this episode. But it almost seems like it's all about the East, which is the Stockholm Conference, if I got that correct, and the West. That's where the competitiveness is. So also I need to say something, give some farewells to the quarterback. I don't know exactly the injury for the Stockholm Mean Machines, but my thoughts and prayers go out to you. He's been having a great season. The Stockholm quarterback is named Harold.
Harold,
Whatever.
Harold.
Yeah, he almost had 3,000 yards he almost had 1,000 yards in three
In three
games.
games. Wow.
Yeah, like right there at 857, something like that. But that's really impressive. Stockholm been doing a great job finding QBs, and I think they're gonna have to replace him. Because I think his injury looked very severe. He tried to get up and he went right back down. And
All right. Yeah. Before we get too much into the actual like meat and potatoes of it, just want to throw out a couple of things real quick. With the new format that we're gonna have, uh, we're gonna be putting in some videos this year, right? From Ballers International. Jalo, tell them a little bit about how we're gonna incorporate that into the podcast this year.
yeah, so moving forward, we're going to have some surprise guests coming on joining us. We're not going to mention them right now. However, the new addition to the Pro Football Sweden is that we're going to be selecting some plays that we're going to throw into the podcast this year. So you'll be seeing a little bit more action on the field inside of the podcast. So stay tuned to that next week.
And of course, that all depends on if the teams can give us a solid stream. Okay. Now, I'll tell you this this episode might have a little bit to do with this the whole time. Is that one of the other reasons why the podcast hadn't started on time and we hadn't decided to do it is because I have zero faith in these streams after last year, it being so up and down. You never know when to stream. And then this year, same thing. There's a lot of issues with, some of the quality just ain't there. Sometimes the stats don't get up. And we want to give you a quality product, people, but we can only do so much. So hopefully everybody, just record the games. Use quality cameras if you can. Get it uploaded, put it on the website, and we'll look at it and pull out those top plays and keep this thing rocking so everybody can experience what is going on in Sweden right now. I just want to make sure that we try to get that into there.
Amen.
Yeah, that's it for the first quarter, man. Let's jump into the second quarter. Now we're gonna get into a little bit more football. Let me hit you with this interlude. So talking about what's happened in the first, what is it, 3 weeks that we've had games, or is it 4?
Mm-hmm.
It's 3 weeks,
Yeah,
right?
2 weeks.
First 3 weeks of games. It's kind of clear. It's kind of clearing out of who's top, who's bottom. But a few things that have been standing out this year to you, Jallo, so far. Tell us a little bit about what's standing out to you on the play that we've seen in Super Serien.
Right now, the defending champions, they are looking hot, man. I mean, they don't have all the same players they had last year. You see new faces, some new young guys, or maybe some guys that came from other teams that were young, but they getting it done for Slade Jarman. Defensively, oh my gosh, they look so strong. Seeing them open up against Tidderso in the first game, a lot of people could look at Tidderso and think like, oh man, Tidderso went downhill. Like, no, Tidderso played a really good championship football team right there. And I think Karlstad is going to do a good job in the CELF games as well. We're not going to talk about that because we talked about the Super Seriens. But Karlstad is looking really good. They're looking really hot. There's been some surprises in the league as well, I thought that Copenhagen Towers would be a much, much, much stronger team. But it's showing me that either the ELF has taken the best talent or the Danish Football League is pissing.
Let me say this: Why can't two things both be true? I would like to say I think that the Nordic Storm probably has some of the better players that the Copenhagen Towers normally rely on, but also the Danish team is not up to snuff as of yet with the Swedish league, and we kind of saw that so far. You kind of tell that your homegrown players, they're good, but there's levels to this. It is what it is. There's levels to this, and similar to like Oslo last year at the beginning of the season, where they took a lot of lumps, and we were like, oh, they might not be good enough to be in Sweden. The Copenhagen Towers could be one of those teams that give them a few more weeks, they'll get better. They'll learn how to compete in this league against these players, as well as let a couple of their better players come back. Maybe they have some role players who are playing with the Storm and might decide to come join them later, or some players who are injured. I don't know their situation, but I do think that as of like 3 weeks in, they just don't look ready for the Super Serien League.
Yeah. I'm hoping for them. I think a good goal would be to try to finish at the top of the South. That should be a good goal for them.
I'm glad you said that. Let's talk about the South. Let's just throw this out here. That's like Division 1. So it is what it is. The South is Division 1 for here, and it's a good division too, because you have the Copenhagen Towers, you have K-Town Predators, and then you have Limham Griffins. Those are two, in my opinion, Division 1 teams. They can be in the Super Series, I don't care, but they still have not proven that they deserve to be there. Same thing with the Towers. You're in the division, but you haven't proven that you deserve to be there. And again, going off of the only 3 games, I know that's not a lot of games, but they've played each other, and they've each played outside of the division. They've played the different conferences. What is it, North and South, or South and East, or East and West? I can't remember that, but they played the Stockholm teams. I think one of them played Karlstad. They've lost all those games. All three of these teams have lost to teams outside of their division. The only win any of them have is K-Town beat Limham Griffins. So they beat somebody in their division. That's the only win out of the three teams. And all their losses, they're giving up 40 plus points in their losses, sometimes 50. Somebody got a 50 burger put on them. I can't remember who. I think Carlstad put up 50 on like the Towers or somebody. But my point is,
That's the truth.
yeah, my point is that this division is the division one of the league. This is the division of teams that will hopefully shake up the rest of the playoff picture. But these teams are basically playing to get their foot in the league. These are teams that it's gonna take them more than this one season to really like make some noise in the Super Series. But they do have some outlier good players, and I do think that one of these teams could upset one of the middle ground teams. But unfortunately, they've been playing kind of the top tier teams. I think they've played against Stockholm, Karlstad. I think one of them played AIK. The Copenhagen played AIK and they only gave up 26 points. So that kind of tells you they are compared to the middle ground, because AIK is what I would call a middle ground team. But these three teams, this whole division, it's just not going to be contenders. That's all I'm saying. I'm trying not to be too mean about it. I don't want to be disrespectful on the first episode, but the South Division is just a practice league. I don't know why he did it. But what about the other teams in the other conferences? What do you think about those?
I mean, right now, I was trying to think, man, what's that strong conference right now? That's what I was really trying to think about. And of course, preseason, I was thinking is probably maybe the middle. I didn't know how good ICO was going to do. I know that they signed Josh Hicks. They got Jacob Dari as a coach. So I thought the organization would be a little bit better. So at the moment, it looks like we're going to have to let some games play out to see, all right, this is that SEC conference right here. Is that middle conference where the West, with Oslo, Örebro,
and
and
Karlstad.
Karlstad? Or is it going to be the Stockholm area? Is that the SEC? Is that going to be, Tidisel, Icor, Mean Machines, But I think right now, we have the question of the day later that will come in about Örebro. But right now, this conference that's not the South, they're looking pretty strong. So we got to let some games play out to see who is actually in the toughest conference and which conference are we going to respect a lot more.
Yeah. So just moving a little bit on from that, I know before we didn't have time this year. There was no preseason rankings. Some other podcasts did their rankings, but nobody cared about that. Let's talk about where you thought these teams were going to land and where they are so far in relation to that. Like before the season, who did you think was going to come in last?
All right, I got a list right in front of me. I'm going to have to look down at this right now. So I'm going to go from the bottom to the top. So at number 9, I thought Limham Griffins were going to be number 9. At number 8, I thought it was going to be Karlstad Predators. Core following that, don't preseason, just doing my prejudging. After that, I thought Örebro Black Knights will be at the next position. Then I've had Copenhagen Towers above Örebro. Then I had Oslo Vikings. So now right here is the last 4 teams I was in the playoffs last year. Oslo next at number 4. Number 3, Tidisel. And number 2, Stockholm Mean Machines and Karlstad Crusaders. So that's how I thought it was going to play out this season, But right now, it's looking like Stockholm. It's looking like Copenhagen Towers is one of the worst teams. I put them a little bit too high. I had a little bit too much faith into a new team entering the conference.
Well, you know what? I didn't do a preseason because I didn't think I was going to do the podcast this year. So I'm going to do mine now. And obviously I know the records from the first couple of games, and I've only watched like one. But I'm gonna go from top to bottom, so that I'm not confusing myself, because the bottom team.
You gotta be honest with it then. Because
I'm gonna be honest from what I thought before the season, and I'm trying not to let what happened so far play into it. But I'll go number one. I was gonna go Carlstadt Crusaders anyways. Number two, Stockholm Mean Machines. Number three, I was gonna go Oslo Vikings.
Mm.
I think that might have been my like, oh man, this dude is crazy. I would go
And I don't
Oslo
blame you for going with
Vikings.
that. I don't blame you going with that. Oslo
I,
is still the
I believe in them. I believe in them. I think they have what it takes to be that good at this time. So I'm definitely going with them at number three. And then number four, I would go Tiraso. And then five, I'm going Orebrew. Six, I'm going Limham Griffins. And I know that's going to ruffle some feathers because I go Limham Griffins at six. And then seven, I go AIK. And then eight, I go Copenhagen Towers. And then nine, I go K Town Predators. Now, the issue with that is the Predators already beat the Towers. So they already ruined what I said was going to happen. And I know they beat them. I mean, it was still very close. But I don't care. No, they didn't beat them yet. They beat the Griffins, right?
yeah, the Griffins.
The
The
Griffins and the
Griffin.
Predators played. So they haven't played the Towers yet.
Let me go ahead and take a look.
Let's check the stats. But I
Yeah,
think
so
the
the
Predators.
Griffins beat the Predators. The Griffins beat the Predators. The Towers haven't won a game.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
they haven't played them yet. So okay. So
Yeah.
I'm still good with that saying because I still believe that the Towers, they're still upside. The
Mhm.
Predators, I don't see much upside for them. I think the Predators don't have what it takes to beat these other teams in their own division. I think they have a lot of like talent in different spots, but I don't think they have the right organization to beat these other teams. I think Copenhagen Towers, even despite them not having great talent compared to the Swedes, I think they have organizational structure and consistency to get a win over K Town. That's all I'm
Mhm.
saying. And then with Limham, I think Limham could be an almost playoff team if they play the right way at the right times. It's all about schedules for most of these teams, anyways, this year, especially with the different divisions. But I think that, like you said, it's still gonna take a couple weeks for us to know where everybody is. It's been
Mhm.
3 weeks, and what Tirso has only played one game,
Yes.
so I mean we don't know what they're gonna do yet. But that's a good look on where things have started so far. Next, we're gonna get into our third quarter. All right, for the third quarter, we have a question of the day. Jalo, tell us about it.
The question of the day is Erebro hot right now, or they playing a weak schedule so far? They have played only a weak schedule so far. That is the question of the day. And let's go ahead and just look at their schedule. Right now, they played against the Predators in week 3, and week 4 they played against Limham Griffins. The next task, the next match slash task is going to be against a good Chittisow Royal Crowns. Then after that they have the Vikings and Carl. Then after that they have pretty much tough games. And as I'm looking at the schedule, they don't play Stockholm at all.
So they got
So
lucky. That's what you're saying.
so they that. So look, I'm gonna go ahead and finish their schedule. Then we can talk about it. So they already won
Go
2
ahead.
games against 2 Southern teams, the worst
Mm-hmm.
conference so far. After this, they're gonna play against Chittisow. After that, they play the Vikings in week 6. Then they play Karlstad. Then they play the Vikings again um, at their own home. Then they play against Aiko. Then they finish with Karlstad Crusaders. So at the moment, I would just say they actually have a semi tough schedule after the road ahead. But at the moment, it's not enough to tell. I haven't watched their full games, but I would say that they have played a weaker schedule so far. You know, but I do think
I
that they are a better. I do think they are a good football team, though. I'm not going to say that they're not a good football team. I
yeah.
do think they have a weak schedule.
I'm gonna say I can tell you what their record gonna be, And you can take this one to the bank, buddy.
What do you
They're
think?
gonna be 4-4. They're gonna be 4-4. They're 2-0 right now. They're gonna go 2-4 over the next six games.
So who are they
That's what
going to beat?
I believe.
So
I think they could beat the Vikings and they could beat AIK. I give them that.
They're going to beat the Vikings twice, or they're going to beat the Vikings once?
They're gonna beat the Vikings once. I think they split the series. I think both teams are comparable, but I think matchup wise, they match up well, and I think they can steal the home game. I think they can
So
steal the home game.
to the south, they are playing against Elderbrook next. You
Yeah,
think
that's an
that?
L.
Okay.
It's an L. And then they have to go after they get their first L, they're 2-1, and they're like, okay, we probably shouldn't have had those two warm-up games before we took a real L. And then you go play Oslo, and you have to go to Oslo, and it's a different vibe because the way you're gonna lose to Tiraso is not the way you're gonna lose to Oslo. You're gonna look at Oslo and be like, well, they're not as talented. We can do this, we can do that, and you're gonna find out, no, you can't. And it'll be a tighter game, but you still gonna take an L. So now you're on a 2-game losing streak. And what, you got to go against Karlstad at this point? You're going to Karlstad. So that's a trip for them, right? That's not that close. How close is Karlstad?
No, it's an hour. It's an hour away for them.
Okay, well,
So
the trip not big of a deal. But they could be playing their backyard. It wouldn't matter. They're gonna take a L. Like, not beating them. Like, it is what it is. So now you're on a 3-game losing streak, and now you have Oslo again. Out of those 3 games that you lost, the Oslo game is the one that probably going to be the closest. They might mess around and win that game. I don't know. But that's going to be the game that you're going to look back and say, okay, first of all, we can fix or rectify mistakes from that game. And then we're going to be at home, have a little bit of advantage in that aspect, but mostly we've already played them. It'll be the first time you've played somebody for the second time this year. So it really is going to show in week 9, do you really have good coaching? If you have good coaching, you're going to learn, adjust from that first game, whether it's a win or a loss, and you're going to maximize that in that second matchup. If the coaching isn't good, then you lose to them twice. And instead of y'all going 4-4, you go 4-5. Either way, middle of the road is how you end. Because after that, you play AIK. That's a win. I'll give you that. And then you go back to playing against the Crusaders. That's another loss. The only chance to win, 3 games is if you can beat the Vikings twice. And I respect the Vikings a little too much to say that they're going to beat them twice. That's how I feel about it.
I would say this, though, and I won't go too much into this. If they can manage to beat Tidisa, I think they were going to take the Vikings at the Vikings.
Yeah, if they beat the Vikings. I don't think they can. But yeah.
Yeah. Then we'll see how they do against Karlstad at Karlstad, I remember, I'll go back in memory lane, in 2017, when I was thankfully given the opportunity to go play in Karlstad. Elderbrook, they were hot-ish at the time. They had some good imports. They had Sebastian Gauthier. They had the 2 brothers. What were the
Murphys?
The Murphys. Brothers. Oh my goodness, hey. I'm like, rest in peace, Not rest in peace, but like, no disrespect, because they're really good players. They had a semi-loaded football team, and we were 5-0, and they were 5-0, and we smashed them in Bern Arena. We smashed them. So I was thinking about this in my memory lane. I was thinking like, man, it's just going to be the same type of Elderbrook team. They started off, really hot, and they managed to be 5-0 based off the strength of schedule they had, and just lose to Stockholm, because I think Stockholm is going to be undefeated by the time they get to them, because right now Stockholm's hot. So that was just a thought inside of my head from 2017. We were 5-0, Elderbrook was 5-0, and we met each other.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be hot at all, man. But we'll see, though. I think
momentum is carried.
I agree with you, though. Yeah, they got to be feeling good after those 2 wins. They've been able to do whatever they want to do on offense. So when they get into this 3rd week, Tiraso hasn't played a lot in the last 3 weeks, obviously. So Tiraso could be rusty. If they catch Tiraso slipping,
right? Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking, okay, right now, sure, warm-up games, they got the momentum going, but they played games while Tidacell hasn't been playing any games, and they lost one of their fastest receiver, 4-3 guy, Boney, I think that's the last name. So they're missing. They're gonna be missing some weapons, on the offense, and
Yeah,
and
could be
to
a
be honest,
trap game for them.
I have not. I got to be honest, I haven't really watched, enough film on Edelbrook, but they got a running back, that check guy. He's hot.
Mhm.
I seen A Murphy out there. Don't know both of them out there, but I seen a Murphy out there. So and Murphy can go both ways.
True
Evan
that.
Johnson, I mean, they got some players. I mean, we can go look at the roster, but the point is they got some talent over there. So we will see how they can match up against
Yeah,
Tidacell. We can talk about how they do in the future.
for sure. All right, that's it for that first episode, man. Let's do our pick'ems. Let's go through these games that's coming up this week and decide who's gonna win these games. Guess this will be like the first like real pick'ems of the season. Let me look at the schedule.
Yeah. So this week I can read it out for you.
Oh, go ahead.
So on May 3rd, we got Limham Griffins at Icor, Airbrew Black Knights at it's not at Icor. That is the other way. So Icor, they have it written the wrong way. So Icor
Okay.
is at Limham, Tidacell is at Airbrew, and Stockholm is going to Skåne to Kristianstad, and May 4th, Karlstad Crusaders is at Oslo Vikings.
I just want to throw this out here. You know what I think is really corny? The whole Star Wars May 4th week be with you whenever that date comes. And I know I'm going to see that all on the social media. That is so corny. Just because it's May 4th. It's just May 4th, guys. Don't have nothing to do with May the Force be with you. But I know people are going to do it. They do it every year. But just throwing that out there is random. But it crossed my mind. I saw it on May 4th, and I knew that's what's going to happen. I'll be off the internet on Sunday, just so y'all know. I will not be on any social medias because that annoys me. But what are your picks then? You want to go one by one? We both pick? How you want to do it?
I can go first. I'm ready.
Oh yeah, I'm ready too. Stay ready.
All right.
Go ahead.
So I'm gonna do it. So the first game of the week, 12 o'clock, Icor at Limham Griffins. I'm going with Icor taking this win.
Mm-hmm.
This next game, Tidacell is at Edelbrook, and I'm going with Edelbrook for this game. Even though Stockholm is down in QB, Matt Breslov may be at quarterback, or maybe they signed one already. I have no idea, but I'm going.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm going with Stockholm. I'm going with Stockholm over Kristianstad, and I'm going with the defending champions beating Oslo in Oslo.
Well, I'm agreeing with you all the way. I don't have
Really
much reasons. Yeah, I hold on. There's one. No, I'm not agreeing with you. Sorry.
Yeah, I knew.
Okay.
I think I know what team it is too that you're not gonna disagreeing with.
So AIK. Hold on. Actually, I changed my whole mind. Let me look at this. All right. First game, AIK versus Limham. You chose AIK, right?
Exactly.
I'm going with Limham.
You're going with the upset.
And yeah, the reason I'm going with Limham is because I'm just piggybacking off of what I did last year. I believe in that team. I think that they actually can get better from week to week, which some of these other teams can't. I think this is a week that they prove that they deserve to be more of a middle team than a lower division team. So I think them playing against AIK is going to. I think AIK has a little bit more talent overall, but I think Limham has a little more grit. Is that the right word? I think they got a little more grit to them. I'd like to see them pull out some trick plays. I know they have that in their bag. I like to see them pull their bag out against AIK because this could be that like shapeshifter for them. Like this puts you like in the mix. I don't have that much consistency factor from AIK. I think they're more of an up and down team. I think they're better, and I think that's going to play against them in this one. And then going for Tiraso versus the Black Knights, you went with Black Knights.
Yeah.
I'm going with Tiraso.
Yeah, I figure you would.
Mostly, yeah, mostly because like you said, they haven't played anyone yet. But I think that they're ready. I think it's not one of those like long breaks in the middle of the season. It's in the beginning. So I think that they kind of been ready for this game before they were ready for the other game. I think when they play Stockholm, it's a lot of emotions in that game. For some reason, they get really excited about playing against Stockholm. But ultimately, this is a game where they know what they have to do, and they have to get back to basics. Just do what you do well, and you know that you can beat this team. I think that's what they'll do in this game, just to stay in the hunt. And then when you had Stockholm versus Predators, I think I can come out there and play quarterback for Stockholm, and they still win this game. It really don't matter. You don't even need a quarterback. They gonna win this game. I said what I said. And last game, Carlstad is gonna win. I am interested to see Oslo plays in this game. I want to see, do they keep it close? Is it one of those games where it's good till halftime and then after that they just can't hold up? Or is it one of those games where they strategically keep this game close all the way into the fourth quarter? That's really going to show us like the ability of this team to have lasting power in this league. I think this is one of those games where they have to prove that they're not just beating up on teams that they can beat, that they actually can compete with these teams. And I think they can do it. I think it'll be closer than what. I mean, I don't know if there are any actual experts for this league, but I think it'll be a closer score than what people would say. I'm gonna throw a score out for this one for the Oslo versus Karlstad Crusaders. I'm gonna say Karlstad wins 35-27,
Okay.
which that's not super close, but I think it's one of those games where
It's
they're
really
winning.
close. I mean, it's a touchdown. I mean, that's it.
Oh yeah,
It's a
yeah, yeah.
it's a
But
touchdown. That's the point.
but also when I say 35-27, I want you to know that for a lot of the game, the score is like 35-14. Like at halftime, it might be 35-14. Like I think it's one of those
Okay.
games where Oslo gets up and then they kind of chill, and then Oslo just continues to fight and keep fighting, and then
Mhm.
towards the end, oh, it might be close, but oh, they ran out of time. That's how I think. That's how I think it'll play out. I
We
could be
can hang
wrong,
with
but
them. We can hang with them. We can beat them, huh?
yeah, yeah. That's what it is. I think that Oslo is one of those teams that even if you get ahead early, you can't just say, "Oh, we're done." And that's what they. I think that's what they can prove is that you got to put your foot on their neck. Like you can't let Oslo hang around because they are a good team. They will find a way to keep it competitive. I think that's what'll happen is Carlstad to get up because they're a little bit better team, but Oslo won't just go away. So even if it's a more of a 14-point game for most of the game, it'll still look entertaining and be a good game from Oslo's standpoint. That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, I
Uh,
wouldn't disrespect Oslo at all. I think it's going to be a challenging game. I think this week is going to be one of those weeks where it's like, you could be right. Icor got to make that long drive. I think I spoke with Josh Aquino on the phone today, and they're already
mhm.
on the way there. And well, at least he is. And it's 2 days away from the game. Um, so he's going to get a good rest. But that game is so early, it's at 12 o'clock. So I
Yeah,
think
that
it's going to
is
be
early.
before, or if they try to make that drive that day of, I mean that's like they leave at 3 a.m. And I don't think that's beneficial for them to have an early game like that. I think Limheim was smart by
3
doing that.
They gotta go
I
at
mean,
3 a.m.
I would think. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna Google how far that drive is from I in Sona all the way to um Malmö. That's all the way south.
Mm.
But either way, that's an early game. Like if you don't get your good sleep, before this game, that could play a factor. This Tirasoul Örebro game, that can go up from grabs. We don't know what Tirasoul is going to do. They've been on a little siesta while Örebro
Hmm.
Black Knights been whooping up on the Southern teams. And for Kristianstad, they're going to get Stockholm, and Stockholm is probably most likely down to quarterback this game. So that means that they know they're going to run the ball. Let's see how well Matt can throw the ball if he's at quarterback, or if they get somebody else in there. They might sign some other Swedish player who can throw. We'll see. But right there, that's already motivation for Kristianstad. And Stockholm's also traveling down there to them, and I think that Stockholm is going to drive probably the same day and leave. And we already talked about Oslo, Stockholm.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot how much the travel plays into this too. Like you got to remember, a lot of these players, this is their hobby sport. It's not their like job. So like the tough traveling, it'll weigh on you. Like having to get right off of work and then travel early the next morning, or if or if you go up the day before, that's still a different schedule, and then you got to play much earlier. Playing at noon is crazy. That is
Mhm.
crazy work. Playing at
Yeah,
noon, that is so early. Like even if you live there, that's still early. Like the
yeah,
middle. Oh, that's what's that?
yeah.
College
It's kind of like
football
that in Spain.
times.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like that in Spain, But college football in the States, we were playing those 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock games. Uh, Man, I can't. It's kind of hard to think about playing a game that early now. I love the
That's
three
what I'm.
o'clock game because you're done. You can chill, take your little quick shower. Then you get your festivities with the team, get a good nap. But when it's right now at my age, when the game is a little bit late, first of all, I don't even like the soccer lights because we play in soccer stadiums out here in Europe. So
Oh
looking
yeah,
into
the
them lights is
lights are
already annoying.
horrible.
Then you finish so late. By the time I shower, and I'm like, man, I'm not even really trying to get with my teammates anymore. Like it's time to hit the sack. Trying to
But
go
can you
night night.
imagine? I guess if they're playing at 12 and then you're done by like 3 or 4, and then they still got to drive back, right? For AIK for theirs.
Yeah,
So
yeah. If
they still don't
I'm
get
just
home till
staying down there. I'm staying down there, and
because they're not gonna get
Mount.
home until like damn near midnight. You might as well take that weekend off, huh?
Yeah, hey, somebody comment in the comments how if you watching this on YouTube, comment how far that drive is from Sona all the way down to Mount.
Yeah,
I would
I
love
have
to
no
know.
idea. Yeah, but that's a good one for us. All right. That is it for this episode of Pro Football in Sweden. Any last words before we get out of here, man?
Yeah, I did want to give some shout outs, but I'm not going to do that now. I'm going to do that next week. I want to make sure these guys stay consistent before, I give them too many pats on the back. But it is some new faces out here who's doing a really good job. There's some guy on IECO. I won't say his name. He's doing a really good job. He's a receiver in Stockholm as well. But I'm gonna just stop right there because I already want to spit it out, and I gotta stop. But next week we don't forget. I'm going to talk about some swag points as well. And as y'all
Okay.
can see, I got this nice, beautiful jacket on right here from Ballers Internationals. Represent the countries that you played in. Send us a DM if you're interested in the jacket.
All right. And good luck to all the teams this weekend. Obviously, we'll be back next week with more insights and opinions. Please like, follow, and subscribe on all social channels at Pro Football Sweden. See you next week.
Blessings.